You need to know the understanding of color theory. So you need to know how the colors relate to each other and what you want the feeling of your art piece to be. You also have to know perspective. Perspective is like an illusion that basically tricks the brain and makes the brain think that it's 3D when it's really 2D. So perspective can make your drawings a lot more interesting, and it makes it more fun to look at for the viewer. You'll also need to study your favorite artist. You need to develop your own art style and your art skills. Plus, taking an art style to liking is what makes art be fun. So you need to develop your own art style and copy from your favorite artist. Just choose an artist that inspires you, or an artist that you like of an art style, and try to study copy, and your art style is going to change over time. It's not always going to be the same. Like the size of your eyes or how you draw the mouths, it's not always going to remain the same for your whole art life. Things you need to learn art is by having a good mindset. Having a good mindset can help you break things down and see this big problem into smaller problems. And how you can learn anything is by breaking things down and breaking them into smaller problems. And if those smaller problems aren't small enough, then you just break them down more. And you keep breaking it down, basically keep breaking it down into simple shapes. Another thing you need is to not overwork yourself. Don't stress out. Don't be overworked or burnt out, because that's what ruins fun. And if you want to really get good at art, you gotta have fun. And you can't just do art just for money or clout. You gotta do it for your passion. So don't burn out. Like, have a routine of when to study art or when to do art. Do art like an hour a day. You don't even have to draw every day. Just do things to extend your skills. So please do not burn out. Making your drawings interesting is way more funnier for the viewer to look at. It gives the art more vibe. It gives the art more of a story. Like if you make an OC in a scene that you imagine, or if you make your character do something funny or interesting, it can also give you clout, and it makes the viewer more attached to the characters in the image, and it brings out curiosity. So if you want to be a good artist, you gotta make your drawings look more interesting to look at. Don't make it stiff. Don't make it boring. Don't make it one character just standing there and doing a really stiff pose. Make it more interesting. Add backgrounds, add lighting. You can make your drawings tell a story. Being creative is also a thing you need to be a good artist. If you want to be a good artist, you gotta be creative. Like, make your drawings tell a story. Make your drawings interesting. Or make a story with your drawings. Or make a whole book based on your characters. You gotta be creative in something, because being good at art takes creativity. And creativity is a skill that you need to learn if you ever hope in being good at art someday. You need to have a focus. A focus of what the main attention is in the art piece. Like, what is the viewer mostly paying attention to? And if the viewer isn't paying attention to is what shouldn't be the most detailed. The thing the viewer is paying attention to has to be the most detailed. The thing the viewer isn't paying attention to has to be the least detailed. So keep that in mind. That can actually be really, really, really helpful for you in the future. Just remember, distance. The more distance an object is, the less detail it's going to have. You also need to focus on lighting too, because you need to focus on where the light is coming from, and wherever the light's not coming from is where the shadow is. You need to learn to simplify things into shapes. So what I said earlier, if you have a big problem, break it down into small problems and learn to simplify. See objects in basic shapes. It can be your room, your bed, the things you see at school or your job. You know, you can see things in just simple shapes. Like, the most common used shapes are squares and circles in art. But if you want to not to be common, you can use diamonds, ovals, trapezoids. Just break things down and learn the simple shapes. You also need to do muscle memory. Muscle memory is basically a thing that helps you do things without thinking about it. But your muscles remember it, not you. Your muscles do. And muscle memory can improve your body anatomy. So if you remember your muscle memory, you can get better at body anatomy. Another thing you need is some reference images. Reference images improved lots of artists and even some pro artists. You can use a reference or not, but for me, reference images really do not work for me. My art ends up looking even more bad than it does with a reference. But if you want to use a reference, you can use a reference. Or don't always listen to people. You can always learn the art the way you learned art, or the way you want to learn art. You don't always have to follow everybody's lead. You can also be a leader, not a follower. So learn art the way that works for you. But a suggestion is reference. You can use references, but you don't need to use references all the time. Please believe in yourself in art.